Next up is Dragon's Crown, which is a 4-player side-scrolling beat-em-up from Atlas. Now, this has got quite a lot of attention due to its controversial, shall we say, art style, which mainly involves the sorceress and the Amazon wearing a little less than they may be expected to when going into battle.
Yeah, I mean, I totally understand it. I do, because they do look ridiculous, but you have to kind of take it in context.
Yeah, and it's not
everything in this game looks a little bit ridiculous.
That's it. I mean, everything is kind of hyper-sexualized, hyper-stylized. Like, they've got as much as you're going to see the sorceress's tits just jiggling around. The barbarian dude who you go to in the town is just this massive monolith of a man who's mostly naked.
Yeah, you got the dwarf who's just a solid slab of muscle wearing a little tiny pair of pants. Yeah, I mean, I understand that it's going to get on some people's nerves, and that's fine. But you shouldn't let that ruin the whole game for you.
Because the game itself is really, really good. Like, the best example of a side-scrolling beat-em-up I've seen in a long time. Like, we had the re-release on PSN recently of the D&D games, and this is kind of the spiritual successor to those. Like, really heavy, kind of really actually strong as well, RPG mechanics, but also really good sort of arcade style golden axe hack and slash, which varies by character as well. So the sorceress is all that kind of darting around using different spells from the sky and flying around and doing all kinds of nonsense. Whereas then you've got things like the Amazon and the warrior who are all about tanking. So you do have these proper roles to play.
Yeah. Well, George Kamitami, who's the director, producer, this is his kind of brainchild. He's been wanting to make this game for years. He was on the staff that made Dungeons and Dragons Tower of Doom.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I don't know if he also made Shadow over Mystara, but he was on the Tower of Doom team. So obviously, he's had this idea in the pipeline for a long time. Yeah. He wanted it to be a Dreamcast game originally.
Okay.
And it's made by Vanillaware, who have done Odin's Sphere and Muramasa.
They were good as well.
It just looks so beautiful, doesn't it? And I'm more than willing to accept a little bit of ridiculously over the top fantasy art.
Yeah, it's just Conan, isn't it? Basically.
Yeah, it's and I'm not writing it off as a non-issue. But I really think it's a shame if it stops people enjoying what is otherwise an excellent game. Especially in 4-player co-op. Yeah. Just 4 people just smashing through it like in the old days with Streets of Rage or something. This is a genre that has kind of understandably fallen down a bit because they were quite simple games. But this one does a really good job of kind of unsimplifying it, because there's a huge amount of depth in this, isn't
That's
there?
right, yeah. The co-op side of things is really well handled as well. And once you hit a certain point in the game, you'll unlock the network mode, where as soon as you go into a dungeon, you can be joined on the fly by anyone else who wants to run that dungeon as well. So you're never short of anyone to play with. You can always kind of drop right in. If you're having trouble with a dungeon, people can drop in and help you. You can revive the skeletons of other people that have died in that dungeon as well. It's a little bit Dark Souls-y kind of. Really cool little feature. You just revive the skeleton and you can end up with an ally who's actually much stronger than anyone else you're going to meet for ages. So there's loads of cool little features like that, and this rune system as well, so you can get these magic things. But really cool. Just don't write it off, and it's art.